Hey guys, this is Dustin White. This is my video blog post for chapters 3 and 4 of the Media Active reading. In the chapters 3 and 4, there was a lot of stuff that Gilmore went over. I thought the continued conversation on citizen journalism was really interesting, and that was probably the part that stood out the most to me. Particularly with that, they talked about how news is becoming more of a conversation instead of a lecture, and I think that that statement there really kind of shows the effect that citizen journalism is having on the media because of the emphasis that citizen journalism places on having a dialogue and having conversation and readers interacting more with the media and what they're consuming, and it just kind of shows how citizen journalism, I think, is becoming more of an integral part of the media ecosystem. But I think it's going to be really interesting to see kind of where citizen journalism goes from here. A lot of the articles that I read as we were doing the research presentations seem to indicate that like the traditional media is really pushing hard to infiltrate these types of like citizen journalist blogs and stuff like that, or to even like pose as citizen journalists, or just taking some of their methods and kind of combining it with traditional media. And so one example of that was like CNN in 2007. They had the iReport.com, and that was an experiment that kind of represented like the melding of citizen journalism with more of the traditional journalism. The iReport.com site, it actually launched in 2006, and then what that did is it gave ordinary people from everywhere in the world an opportunity to contribute their information to text-based news reports. And then the reading from that indicated that there were probably two things that blending of these genres, I suppose, represents. And the first thing that could represent would be, the fact that I had mentioned, big business, big media, or whatever, taking over citizen journalism, and then also with like large media, enforcing their will upon citizen journalists. Those people, they wouldn't be able to write the stories anymore necessarily that they would have if they hadn't, been bought out or whatever, or been, affected by the big media conglomerate, or, whatever you may call it. So let's see, kind of going on to another interesting thing that I was kind of thinking about with citizen journalism. I found a really interesting article that stated that about 67% of Americans say the traditional media is out of touch with what citizens want out of their news. And I think that that there shows that citizen journalism, it's probably always going to have a place, but maybe it won't necessarily be in the huge markets, because I kind of think that it's likely those types of places, where there's going to be bigger media providers and stuff like that. I think they're probably going to kind of slowly eat away at the market share there and just kind of take over their citizen journalism. Whereas, maybe like a little bit smaller towns, smaller cities, there probably really isn't that incentive for these bigger media corporations to kind of come in and take over. And so I think maybe in the future what we might be looking at is citizen journalism, being really popular in more local, small communities, because they can tailor the information more specific to those areas, and then the community that lives there obviously will be more interested in that news. Like, for example, if you live maybe outside of, a little ways outside of a bigger city, outside of Chicago or something like that. All the news that you get is probably going to be news that is local to that big city, since you're near that. And maybe, citizen journalism could take over with, the failing, you know newspapers and stuff like that are local now, but those things might not be around in the future. So I think that, provides an opportunity for citizen journalism to really take over in those communities and really help those people out. So that there is pretty much all that I have. Hopefully most of what I said makes sense. Thanks for listening. Bye.